But what we're going to be talking about today is molar mass. And molar mass is the mass of 1 mole of any particular substance. Okay, so can you tell me what you guys need your periodic tables out to have those out handy? Okay, ask you guys some questions, all right? And hopefully you guys can answer. Blaine, you got your periodic table? Okay, look on the side with the weights on them. Nope, the other side. What is what's the weight of 1 mole of carbon?
2.26.
I think you're looking at carbon. It's the weight. The weight is the atomic mass that's by the atomic number.
12.011.
Yep. 12.011. That is the weight of 1 mole of carbon. Okay. Isaiah, what's the mass of 1 mole of calcium? 40.078. Everybody kind of see where we're looking? That's called a molar mass. Okay, that's the atomic weight. So, now what we're going to do is we're going to transition that into compounds. So we know what 1 mole of individual elements are. Now we're going to look at moles of compounds. Okay, that's what we're going to look at. So, we're going to go ahead have to figure out the molar mass of CaCl2. And to do that, all we have to do is count atoms. We know how many moles of atoms we have. We know their weights. And what we can do is we can transition that and find the molar mass. So we want to know the molar mass, how many grams that we're going to have for CaCl2. Okay? And so we're going to do a quick calculation. It won't take us very long to do it all. So how many moles of calcium Gabe is in CaCl2? So so I have CaCl2. How many moles of calcium do I have? 1. Yeah, 1 mole of calcium. Okay. Emily, how many moles of chlorine do we have? 2. So 2 moles of chlorine. So now what we can do is we can find the weight of each one of those, and then and how much it contributes to the overall mole weight of calcium chloride. So we just go ahead and we look on the periodic table and we find calcium. Calcium is 40.08. Now in some of your or most of your periodic tables, calcium is 40.078. I'm not going to have you write all those digits to the right of the decimal for each and every element. I'm going to let you round it. So we're going to go say 1 mole of calcium is equal to 40.08 grams of calcium. And then we multiply it, which is basically the same weight, 40.08 grams. Moles cancel out. Any questions? We're going to do the same for chlorine. If you look up chlorine on your sheet, chlorine, it'll say it's 35.453. I'm just going to go to the 100 spot. So I'm just going to go ahead and say for every 1 mole of chlorine, I have 35.45 grams. So I multiply it out and I get an answer at 70.90 for chlorine. So the overall mass is everything added up that contributes to the weight of calcium chloride, which would be 40.08 plus 70.90. So that would be 110.98 grams per mole. Any questions? That's the molar mass. Any questions with that? Pretty easy to do. Count your atoms. Moles of atoms. Multiply the moles of atoms. Add them up. Gives you the molar mass. Got it. Thoughts and questions on that? Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to transition right into the next type of problem because we have all our information to do the next problem. The next problem is finding a percent of any element within a compound. So if I've got a compound, they have this thing called percent mass. Percent mass. It just basically says, if I have 100 grams of it, of a substance, and I have 25 grams of, let's say, carbon in that 100 grams, what's the percent by mass of carbon? So if I have 25 grams of carbon in a compound that weighs 100 grams, what's the percentage of carbon by weight? You guys should be able to tell me right off the bat. What would it be? 25 grams of carbon and 100 grams of a sample. What's the percent of the carbon? 25%. 25%. Right? Because you take 25 divided by 100 times 100, and that gives you your percentage. Does that make sense? If I had 12 grams of a sample in 50 grams, say I have 12 grams of nitrogen in 50 grams, what's the percent nitrogen? How would you find it? Ethan?
Everything times 2, so it would be over 100.
You could do it that way, or you could just take 25 divided by 50 times 100. Okay? And that would be 50%. Okay, if it was 25. So, we know the mass of the element. So let's say we want to find calcium. Percent calcium. So we go and we look. We go, how many grams of calcium do we have? How many? 40.08. So we go 40.08 grams of calcium, and we divide by the total. Total is 110.98. So we divide by 110.98 times 100. And that gives us our percentage. And that's really all you do for percentage by weight. So that should be pretty easy. You guys have done percentages for quite a while. So that'd be 36.11% of calcium. Any thoughts on that? So to find percentages, you got to find the overall weight. To find the overall weight, you find the molar mass. Depending upon whatever you want to find a percent of, that's what you do. Okay? Pretty basic, easy concepts to figure out. So, we're going to have you do two things on this. One thing we're going to do is have you find the molar mass. And then we're going to have you find the percent mass of chlorine. So we're going to have you do one first, find the molar mass, and then we'll have you do two, find the percent composition by mass. Okay? So I would like you to go ahead and start going through the process. So you have 1 mole of iron. You have 3 moles of chlorine, right? And how many moles of oxygen? 9. 9 moles of oxygen. So then you have to find their individual weights. Any questions on that? 1 iron, 55.85 grams. 3 moles of chlorine. Now, on chlorine says it's, on your periodic table, it says it's 35.453. I'm just going 35.45. If you want to take it out farther, you can. But everything I do is I'm going to go to the nearest 100 spot. Oxygen's 15.9994. That rounds to 16.00. Okay? So I put 16 grams there. That's just 16.00. Multiply everything out. I get 55.85 for iron, 106.35 grams for chlorine, and 144 grams for oxygen. So go ahead and find the percent chlorine in from that. Go ahead and find what's the percentage by weight of chlorine in my compound. So you just take 106.35, which is the total weight. We don't want to just take 35.45. I have students that will take the 35.45 divided by the total. It has to be the total weight of that element that's in the compound. So the total weight is 106.35. Total weight of everything added up is 306.20. So about 1/3 of the weight is chlorine. Okay, 1/3 of the overall weight is chlorine within that compound. Okay. You only have 3 chlorines versus oxygen, you have 9. Okay, so you would think oxygen is probably going to have higher percentage. Probably going to be closer to about, not quite 50%, but in the 40% for oxygen. Okay? Thoughts or questions? What I'm going to do is I'll show you the questions. You can just put these in your notes, and then it's just a completion, and then we'll check them. Okay? So, this side, left side, you're going to find the molar mass of each one of those compounds. Okay? FeCl3, C6H12O6, and then PbC2O4 with a 2 subscript. On the right side, you're going to find the percent by mass of potassium in K3PO4, percent carbon in NiCO3 with a 3 subscript, and percent H in NH42HPO4. Okay, and then you just write those in your notes. And I will check to see if you have them done for tomorrow. So you guys have a good amount of time to finish this up, to complete it. You guys got 25 minutes, and you should be able to get, if not all of it done, most of it done. Okay? And then I'll hand back your quizzes.